Full Moon Walk. Bunches of dried lilacs, brown now, years old. Memories kept, ghosts remembered, like the hummingbird spied years ago on a late night walk. He calls, happiness sparkles. He calls, twilight twinkles. We walk, riverside track, oasis of darkness. We walk, our shadows dancing in the moonlight. We walk past the corner with the flowers, and he remembers the hummingbird.
Welcome to Burdock Radio. My name is Keith Gostad, and I am the producer of this show. The things you will hear over the next hour represent the views of Burdock Radio and the people making them. All opinions and quotations in no way represent River West Radio and are the sole responsibility of the producer, guests, and callers. River West Radio is not liable for any legal issues arising from the content of this program. The following conversation was recorded on January 15th, 2013. And will be played for you presently.
First thing,
Hi, Keith.
we're on location,
All right.
so get that out of your system before we start. All right. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Keith.
We're on location at the Miramar Theater on Tuesday night during the open mic. Here you go. I have a table.
One of my favorite places in the whole world.
Yes. We should talk about that right away. The introductory track that will be played, you won't hear it now, obviously, but that was off the Burdock 10 CD, and you were playing a bowed sultry on that.
It's an unusual instrument.
Where did you get that instrument?
I bought it from James Jones Instruments.
Okay.
He's a luthier who he makes other instruments. He makes hammered dulcimers and bowed psalteries and some bazookies.
Okay.
And cutting boards.
Really?
Woodworkers like to make cutting boards.
Where was this again?
I mailed away for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's just such an unusual instrument. The first time I saw you playing it,
Yeah.
I couldn't. First thing I wanted to do is to play with it myself, and it was like a really cool thing. It's if you don't know what it looks like, it's kind of like a long triangle, basically,
Yeah.
with strings going up, meeting pegs as it ascends, and then each string is a different key.
Well,
or
each
note.
one is a different note, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a little gap where you can use the bow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you kind of move the bow up and then down again as you're playing. It's really neat.
It has a very ethereal sound.
It does. It really does. So we're here at the Miramar Theater on Tuesday night recording this, and you've been running the open mic here for 9 years now.
That's right.
Past December. And
Yeah.
how many EPs do you think you've recorded for acoustic musicians in that time?
Well,
Because I think you just recorded one before we did this
yeah,
interview.
we did.
There's a guy in here who paid some extra money to record 4 or 5 songs, and it sounded really good. And he was literally driving away and came back because he had put the CD in his car's CD player and wanted to come back and get
Yep, he
another
said
record.
it sounded so good.
Yeah, and that's a compliment you get quite a lot, actually. Even the
Yeah, it
November
is.
Criminals, we have one of our live tracks is up on our website that we did here.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and I think a lot.
I can't take all the credit because part of it is the room. This is a fantastic room.
Yeah, really great
Yeah.
acoustics here. And so, what started you with the open mic? I should ask.
Well, it starts a little bit before the open mic
Uh huh.
because my group Sweet Diversity sang as part of like a folk music show here at the Miramar, probably back in, I don't know, 1999 or so. And
Right.
we met Bill, the owner, and decided to record our CD here. And while we were recording our CD, he told us that he was getting super busy and he was looking for an intern. And
Mm.
I said, gee, I'd like to do that. So I became the Miramar intern and learned how to do a bunch of stuff in the studio. And I sat in all kinds of sessions with all different kinds of bands, which that was like the best summer of my life.
Wow.
It was, and he recorded everything from classical music, like some of the guys from Present Music would come down and record,
Right.
to like really heavy rock, punk, and
Yeah.
and everything in between. So it was an eye-opening experience for me.
Well, we've had since I've been. I neglected to mention I bartend here on Tuesday nights, and so I've seen countless different kinds of acts come through on the stage here, and you don't really turn anyone away, even though it's an acoustic spoken word open mic. We do have rappers in here who have their
Yep.
beats ready to go. There's even been a couple sneaky live band acts come on for 10 minutes. I remember one of them got a little rowdy, but it was really interesting to hear that. But we've had like really great blues guitarists come through. And it seems like the guys from the fingerstyle guitar program have no trouble finding this place.
Well,
And-
only the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Before that, we didn't get a lot of students.
Right.
But we did have some celebrity guests. Like
Really?
when I don't think you were working here then, but when Peter Buffett had his big Spirit show, the cello player came down and played at the open mic.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, it was super cool because he was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
so-
that's awesome. And then you get that kind of action alongside, like, first timers
Yeah.
coming up. The other thing that's really cool about the open mic is the diversity of the performers, from musicians that we're just talking about to poets to an influx of stand-up comedians.
Yeah.
People have been coming through for a while now, and just it keeps getting more and more interesting. And I think for $2 is a pretty good deal. So come out on a Tuesday.
The best $2 night of entertainment
Right.
in town.
It
someone
really
said.
is, though. It really is. It's so strange. But I remember when I first started here being like, I don't know if it's going to be as much fun as I thought it was. And then, I can't remember who it was now. I almost want to say it was a blues guitarist named Matt something or other. I can't remember.
Oh.
But he was really, really good.
Was it Matt Hendricks?
It might have
Did he-
been.
He may have stopped in.
Yeah. And I was just like, whoa. And then after that, it seemed like I started noticing more people who really had chops.
Yeah.
And not just musicians again, but people that were really able to get up and perform to a really high degree.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were coming in here to record, to hang out, and just to meet everybody. Bands have started up in the lobby out in front.
Yeah, they have.
They may have also broken up in the lobby, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, you've been a event coordinator for the coffee house for a while.
I have since 2004,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been volunteering there and doing the sound there more years than that.
Right. So you've seen
Yeah.
a lot of really interesting acts down there, I'd imagine, too.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. And I try and kind of, the coffee house, for those of you who don't know, is an acoustic music and poetry concert style venue in the basement of a church run by volunteers. And so the unique thing about it is we're offering a concert atmosphere for the performers. It's not like a noisy Starbucks coffee shop that has a token stage in the corner where someone's playing while the lattes are being made.
Right.
It's somewhere where people are actually there listening to the music.
Right. Yeah.
And some performers aren't used to that when they come there, and they're like freaked out, like, "Oh my God, everybody's listening!" You know,
people actually care what I
Yeah.
do. What I've noticed though in the times that I've been there is people tend to bring their A game a lot. Especially at the Midwinter Talent Contest, which we're right in the middle of. Last week, Friday,
Yep.
was the first night of the Midwinter Talent Contest, and tomorrow, this is being recorded, so that's tomorrow.
The 18th.
The 18th is the second night of the preliminary round, and then people get selected based on their scores with a panel of 5 judges to move on to the finals, which take place in February.
Yeah, I think it's the first Saturday.
Yeah.
I didn't bring that date
Don't worry,
up with
we'll
me.
post that all on the internet, so there'll be plenty of links to that.
But the level of talent this year is really high.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I was there the first night. I'm a judge this year. It was crazy though. I had a hard time writing scores down because I was realizing I had to differentiate between everybody that was up there. And again, I think everybody bringing their A game to that venue really played into it.
Nobody choked last Friday.
Nobody choked.
Occasionally somebody will choke. And
Well,
it's
the
so
funny
sad.
thing is like I'm really forgiving of somebody if they get up on stage and they boff really bad, and I'm like, well, I understand, I'd boff too, but it's a contest, so you have
Right.
to be like, hey, you're not being professional enough.
Right.
Every single performer was as professional as I'd ever seen anybody. You know, some of the people I had seen before,
Yeah.
and they did really well. And the people that I'd never seen before did just as well. So it was really hard. I was like, wow, I really have to be discerning as a judge.
Yeah, the one group that played was a band that had never been to the coffee house before, and they're from Milwaukee.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was a cool way for them to discover the coffee house.
That is really neat, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so again, come on down to the coffee house, which is on 19th Street off of Wisconsin, just south of Wisconsin Avenue, right there on 19th, in the basement of St.
Redeemer Lutheran Church.
Redeemer Lutheran Church.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I mention our website?
Yes.
It's www.the-coffee-house.com.
The hyphen house.
The coffee house wasn't available, so we had to
Okay.
put the hyphens in.
Oh, yeah. Well, so we've mentioned the open mic and the coffee house, and I wanted to talk about those things just because you are a promoter in the city, and you even promoted a really big shows. Peggy Seeger coming through town. You're responsible for that, which is really important, I think.
Yeah, I did three times now.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, the closest place to Milwaukee she was playing was Folklore Village Farm, which is west of Madison someplace.
Okay.
And I thought, I really want to see her, but I don't want to drive 2 hours, you know?
Right.
So I contacted her agent and found out what was involved and talked to Bill about it, and
Right.
and Bill suggested I talk to Ken Leinbach from the Urban Ecology Center, which is kind of across the street from the Miramar. At the time they were operating out of a little trailer with no running water.
Okay.
And so the concert turned into a benefit for them, and
Wow.
yeah, it was quite a cool experience. I had never done anything like that before.
I remember seeing her, I think it was the second time you brought her in, and she brought Larry Penn up on stage, and that was a really cool moment. It was
Yeah.
just like, it was exciting, because I had seen and heard Larry perform at Linneman's, and then to see him in that sort of setting, it just was like, holy wow, you know.
Yeah.
And somebody introducing him with that much accolade, you know, that was really special.
Yeah, it was.
So, you yourself, though, have earned a title I want to talk about this a little bit. And who gave you this title of the Queen of Milwaukee Folk? I love that title, and everything I've seen since I've known you, I would not dispute it. By the way,
Yeah.
but
Geez, I'm not really sure.
it's so cool.
Because Mud River Lee always says it, but there's been other people.
Yeah.
I had a band for a brief time, the Silver Linings, and we did a live recording here at the Miramar, and on it Corey introduces me as the Queen of Milwaukee Folk. I can't really remember who said that first.
Well, you do have a lot of your interests musically. I want to talk about your poetry, but I would also like to talk about your music real quick for a moment before we. What we'll do is we'll talk about your music, then go to your poetry, then come back. It's like, but you sing a lot of traditional music, Irish ballads and things that you would hear at like I guess a folk festival presentation or something like that. But you still have a lot of your awareness of the kinds of music that that's coming out now, just based on like working at like the open mic on Tuesdays and the coffee house, and you hear the kinds of things that are coming through. So you're not diffused by that at all, which I think is kind of interesting. Like what you choose to put out is very solidly set in a style. You know what I mean? You're not deviating off into different genres. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
we're not hearing the Sandy Weistow rap album, is what I'm saying.
Probably not.
Okay.
Although I've only written 2 songs, and one of them could be kind of considered I don't know if you consider it exactly a rap song, but
Oh, that's true.
It's like a talking blues song.
We'll have to get to that. We'll play that at the end of the show, and I will leave it up for people that listen to the episode to decide if Maintenance Chick is a rap song. It may well be, now that I think about it. It kind of is. Jeez. All right, so that just defeated everything I was trying to say.
So, but I'm very picky about what I'll sing, though.
That's what I tried. I think I was aiming at. You're very discerning in what you're wanting to
Yeah.
sing. Yeah.
And I have been exposed to a lot of music that I wouldn't have heard by running the open mic.
Right.
Like,
right.
I fell in love with Elliott Smith's music because there's someone who used to come quite often and cover a lot of Elliott Smith songs who I had never heard of, and so that was pretty cool.
Well, okay, so getting away from your music for a little bit, you put out a chapbook, Coyote.
I did.
Is it? I can't. It is just Coyote, right?
Yep.
Okay. When did you publish that? And
2008.
2008.
Boy, that's a long time ago now.
Oh, don't remind me.
It was inspired by. I haven't been lately, but for quite a few years I hiked a lot along the dirt trails along the Milwaukee River, all the way from Caesars Park up to Hampton.
Right.
And
Wow.
Several times I had an encounter with a coyote, which to me was super cool. It was like this spiritual experience. And that's kind of what inspired me to try writing. Like, this experience was so cool, how can I capture it?
Right, yeah. No, anytime you see a wild animal in the city, it's always a special moment, I think. So.
Yeah, for sure.
So the chapbook was kind of brought about by that encounter then? Or
Yeah, that was the main inspiration.
Okay.
And then the second inspiration was seeing some of the people that I've seen at open mic, as specifically Amma Maracas,
Yeah.
because she wrote about such very personal things, but in a way that, could make it interesting to other people.
Right.
And I thought, I wonder if I could do that.
That's really interesting. Okay. I don't know. Would you mind reading a selection from the Coyote chapbook? No?
Sure, I
That'd
would
be
love
cool.
to. 1. Coyote. Coyote appears to me on the rustic trail along the river, abruptly ceasing the chatter in my mind. Suddenly, I am standing, stuck still, staring, seeing, ears pricked, tails swishing, elegantly trotting on sure, silent feet, instantly transmuting my awareness. Here, now, the light through the leaves glinting on gray fur, purposeful gait, silent footsteps, woodpecker tap, tap, tapping, touch of breeze on my cheek, gentle song of the river, rich, loamy scent of earth, infinite patterns of bark like the whirls of fingerprints calling, pay attention. Pay attention to what lies right before you, or it may pass you by unnoticed. Pay attention.
And that was
The title poem.
the title poem. So that's a whole series that you came up with all at once, or were you working on it over a period of time?
It wasn't a very long period. It was a really intense period. Also involving a love relationship.
The best poems do.
Which is often a common catalyst for creative efforts. Although in my case, the poems all came when I was exceedingly happy, which seems to be the opposite of what most people say. Most people you hear at open mics say, well, I got dumped and geez, I got these 6 great songs out of it, and well, when I got dumped, I really haven't written since then.
Wow.
It was, I wrote when I was, on top of the world happy. It was when I felt like writing. So
maybe that's the difference between folk and country music right there. We've uncovered an altruism, perhaps. I just wanted to bring it up just because it's kind of random and cool. I saw a coyote at the beginning of December, end of November, and it was really cool because I was with my friend Mike from New Orleans, and he was driving a car, and I just actually bid farewell to some roommates of mine that I had for like a month. They're from Syria, and so like the first night that one of them was in town, the first night that either of them had been in town, he was in the back seat, I was in the front passenger seat, and Mike was driving. So it was like 2 guys weren't from Milwaukee, and we were going down the winding path, that little road in Lake Park, and right at the Locust Ravine Trail, right at the head of that, there was a coyote, like crossing the road and going into the trail.
cool.
Which I walk that trail constantly. Like whenever I go down to the lake, that's the trail I take. And I never see wildlife there, ever, except for squirrels and chipmunks.
Yeah.
And maybe like a bird or 2,
Yeah.
And then we're driving and we see this coyote, and he just stops and he looks at us, and then you can tell he's not a dog,
Yeah.
Like, what is that? One of those animals, and you're like, oh, that's a coyote. Because you almost forget what they look like until you see them. That's the funny thing about them, I think. And then you realize it's a small wolf.
Yeah.
That's really neat. And then you wonder if you should go back to that set of woods or not. But you don't have that problem, which is pretty cool. Did you keep hiking after you saw the coyote?
Oh, I did, yeah.
Did you you said you saw it more than once, right?
I did, yeah.
The same one, even, do you think?
Well, I'm not. It could have been.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. But
Well, the first time I saw him I was almost up near Hampton, and it was just like, bam, just like totally changed my awareness, like made me completely aware of my surroundings.
Right.
And I don't know, that was a good wake-up call because most of us are walking around in a haze most of the time.
No, that's true.
And there's so much to notice if you're just awake and aware and present. Be present.
That's really cool. And I should say, anybody listening who doesn't know Milwaukee, Hampton is just north of Silver Spring.
Just south of Silver Spring.
My
Yeah,
bad.
north of Capitol.
North of Capitol.
Yeah.
I think I've walked that trail. You were walking on the east side of the river, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've walked that trail from Estabrook Park all the way up to Capitol, but I never went any further than that because I was not by myself. I had my sister along at the time,
Yeah.
and she's pretty young, so I was just like, well, we should head back now.
Yeah.
But we walked there on like a May afternoon, and I just remember, or no, it wasn't even May yet. It was earlier than that. It was really cold, but somehow there were wood violets just everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere the sun leaked through the trees, wood violets sprouted up. And that was the really cool thing about that trail. And then I noticed when you got north of Capitol, there's a big patch of kind of like marshy area where the cattails and stuff just kind of sprouted everywhere. I'm like, that's a really neat trail to walk. So
Yeah, there's a lot of different habitats along there, which is really cool.
yeah, I mean, if you go to the Urban Ecology Center, like you were talking about, they have a bunch of fish tanks full of the critters, the different kinds of critters that you could encounter. There's no coyote, but there are snakes and turtles that are pretty awesome to look at. And you realize we have a really interesting habitat in that river system right there, you know. So
I feel very thankful to have that within walking distance.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the cool thing about the East Side River West area is you got the river and you've got the lake right there. So if you need to escape the doldrums of the city, you can just go. So it's a really good spot. It's a good place to live. And there's plenty of coffee shops around. You can warm up if you're out there in the middle of the winter. So what kind of poetry do you read or listen to when you are not writing, I guess? I mean, aside from the things you encounter at the open mic.
When I was in college, I took a poetry workshop, and we had to choose a book to write about, you know, and I chose one of Robin Morgan's books, and I love her poems. She's a feminist. Like, some people may know her more for editing feminist anthologies or writing. But I really love her poems.
Right.
And I've read some of them at open mics. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not familiar, so the encounter just kind of changed your style at all, or did it inspire you to write more in a certain way that you were going already at that point?
Oh, back then, what I was writing was all therapeutic confessional poetry.
That would be your 20s.
Yes.
Right. That's everybody's.
Well, actually, younger than that.
Younger than that?
Like 17 or 18. I was in
Okay.
college when I was 17.
Right.
Man, that's a long time ago.
I wasn't trying to go there. It feels a long time ago for me too now. That's kind of sad. But
so writing Coyote was much different.
okay. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so it's after a span of time where you were writing a very specific kind of poetry, and then it was kind of a marker, a new awakening. Because you said you wrote it in a very brief but intense period.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think there's some copies that have a CD in them.
Yeah, I recorded all the poems because they're, you know, some poems are better seen on the page and read on the page. And I think these look nice on the page. I did arrange them, and Timothy Kloss did a bunch of artwork for me, which is in the book, which is super cool.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. But I think these were kind of written to be read, so I included a CD with the book.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah. And I have some copies over at Woodland Pattern.
They are for sale. You can still get some. I don't know if the CD is available still or not.
It's in each book.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I had a great deal of fun making this, and kudos to Clark Graphics too, because they do an awesome job of printing, and they spent, especially Troy. Troy spent quite a bit of time with me, helping me explaining like how to lay it all out so that it would print nicely.
Right.
So
it does look nice. I wanted to move away from the poetry just a bit again, into the music, because when did you start writing or singing and performing, I guess? Was it
back in high school?
Okay. And it all kind of coincided. So you've been kind of writing poetry right along with your performing music.
Yeah.
Okay. And you learned to play the guitar when?
In high school.
In high school.
Yeah.
Okay. Who were you-
From my trusty my Neil Young songbook and my Stan Rogers songbook.
Ah,
For those of you who don't know, Stan Rogers was like a superstar in the folk music world. He's a Canadian musician
okay.
who unfortunately died in a fire on an airplane back in the 80s. Otherwise, he probably would have got more famous. But he was my hero.
Mhm. And that kind of started you off musically. And then when did you start performing out?
Well, in when I was in college, the Eighth Note Coffee House over at UWM,
Right.
every Friday, all day on Friday from noon to 8, they would have an open mic.
Yeah, yeah.
And I used to hang out there every Friday. So that was kind of the first public place I performed.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Was there like a big scene kind of happening around that? So to
Yeah,
speak?
there was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never see outside of a few other places. I don't know of like any kind of a folk scene that's sprouted up since then. I don't know if they still run that or not. I should go find out. But
I don't think they do.
No.
But yeah. But they used to bring in national level folk performers to do concerts there too, which was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then when did you start? Because you have a couple of different projects that you did in collaboration with people. And what was first? I have the Silver Linings kind of came first, or the Sweet Diversity?
Sweet Diversity was
Sweet
first.
Diversity was
yeah.
earlier. When did you guys hook up? We should talk about that a little bit. Like, so Sweet Diversity was like a trio.
Yeah, well, Sweet Diversity was a trio, but Carrie and I started singing as a duo.
Okay.
I met Carrie at an open mic, I think at the coffee house, and I just loved her songs. She played piano, and just the melodic structure and everything of her songs was so beautiful. And afterward I found out she kind of thought the same thing about my songs, because I asked her if she'd like to open for me for a show I was doing. I was doing my first show at Cafe Caffeine, which it was right across the street from Mitchell Hall on Hampshire. It's not there anymore. I think it's an Italian restaurant now.
Oh,
but
it was the couch that it became Sala de Pranzo, probably.
yeah,
That's the same building.
And before that, it was Cafe Caffeine.
Yeah.
So I asked her to open for me, and then she said, "Well, I'll open for you if we can do a song together." And then the duo was born.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then we were performed for a while, and then Ann saw us, and Ann ended up joining the group as well, and then we were a trio. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And then how long? Well, you recorded an album or a CD?
Yeah, in 2001.
Yeah. And there's 12 songs on there, and there's a couple of originals.
Yeah, it's half songs with the trio and half. We each did 2 solo songs on there, because I don't think we had enough group songs yet at the time. The group was fairly new when we recorded that.
Right. And then when did the Silver Linings CD come about?
That was later. That was maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
That was a short-lived trio I had with flamenco guitarist Carlos Otero, who I met him at the coffee house as well.
Right.
I've met most of my best friends there. And Corey Rowell, who was a poet and a musician.
Right.
And he was kind of a rocker, and Carlos was the flamenco player, and I was the queen of folk.
Right.
And we were buddies, and we decided to try doing music together.
Oops. Dropped my pen. Sorry.
But unfortunately, literally like 3 months after we started doing music together, Corey decided to move to Las Vegas.
Okay.
So the group didn't last very long.
But you got a CD out of it.
Yeah,
right?
we
You
did
got
a live
some
concert
recording.
here at the Miramar, and Bill recorded it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then all that music kind of added up over the years, and you've got a lot that I've seen you perform Maintenance Chick a couple of times, but you can also just kind of pull from memory a lot of songs, which I think is really kind of, inspiring and awesome at the same time. Traditional stuff, folk music.
I used to be able to do that more than I can now. Life has been so busy that I rarely practice. And
Well, you're one of the busier people I know too. With,
yeah,
full-time job, but then you're also coordinating the coffee house calendar and helping to organize that, and then running the Tuesday night open mic. It's a lot of stuff to do.
yeah,
And it's really cool that you're able to, facilitate so many young songwriters and poets here and there at the coffee house. Once again, we're actually recording this on stage at the Miramar Theater, which is kind of neat. I think I've done one podcast before for Conium up here, so it's kind of cool being able to record right on stage for this whole thing. I wanted to play a couple of songs towards the end of the show from the Sweet Diversity CD. And Maintenance Chick is like one of my favorite songs of yours. It's so funny. And you're right, it is kind of a rap song. Or at the very least, it's got rap elements. So.
and that's really the first song I wrote. My good friend sat me down and told me, "You should be writing songs. Here, what should we write about? Tell me about your job." And I'm gonna write the first verse from what you told me, and you're gonna finish it. And here's the chords you should use. And
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And so like it got structured, and you wrote that before you were in the group Sweet Diversity, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
it's copyrighted.
It is?
If you look it up out on the.
so you'll sue me, or who sues me for playing this? I can't remember.
No, I give you permission.
Okay, I've given permission by the artist. I'm writing that down. Given permission by the artist. And then so we'll play that, and then we'll come right back.
Back in the fall of '96, I took a new job, hoping to fix a little debt load that I fell under, and walked into a land of wonder. They gave me a drill, they gave me a wrench, they gave me the vise on the old workbench, screwdrivers and pliers, mallets and hammers, and a pair of work gloves without any glamour. I guess you could say I'm just one of the guys, but when I show up, people seem surprised that I'm moving the pallets, unloading the trucks, sweeping up the shit from the geese and the ducks, jump starting cars, snow plowing the lot, assembling furniture shelves and whatnot, setting up meetings, making things stick. I'm always kept busy. I'm the maintenance chick. When I first learned to run the pallet jack, the truck driver I loaded had a laughing attack. He couldn't imagine why in the world they were teaching this job to a skinny, weak girl, but I concentrated and I learned to steer. Pretty soon they had no reason to jeer, 'cause I pitched right in and I did my share, but I had to ask to be treated fair. I even threatened to cause some trouble. When that first winter they wouldn't let me shovel. They said, "We can't let you without the boss's approval, 'cause if you got hurt, we'd be in big trouble." I finally said after our fourth conversation that I'd go to HR and charge discrimination. Well, that little threat seemed to do the trick, 'cause before I knew it, I was the maintenance chick. And yes, that's a true story. One day we were at work for 32 hours due to 12 inches of snow showers. We plowed and we salted and we shoveled the walks. We all got so tired that we barely could talk. When I finally got home, I just wanted to sleep. But ringing in my head was that beep, beep, beep that the plow trucks make when they back up, as if I hadn't already heard it enough. Now it's a wonder that I didn't get sick, but it's all in a day's work when you're a maintenance chick. This is where the harmonica part should go, but I haven't learned how to play one yet. Now there's one other woman on the crew. She and I do the same work that the guys do. We wear the same shirts, we make the same pay. We're treated like equals in every way. Most people accept us and the few that don't are nothing but silly chauvinistic dolts. If we couldn't do the job, we would have never been hired. And although we oftentimes go home dead tired, we're proud of our jobs and we think that it's slick to be able to say that we're the maintenance chicks. Yeah, we're proud of our jobs. We really think that it's slick to be able to say that we're the maintenance chicks.
Quick announcement. On February 9th, 2013, River West Radio will be having a fundraiser. And please write that date down. Further details will be available and down the road. Also, if you're a producer, you can get business cards printed out. And you just need to contact River West Radio admin. We now return you to your interview with Sandy Waistu.
And we're back. That's
Cool.
how that works when you record afar in the field. So Sweet Diversity songs. This other one is a traditional piece, and it's a 3-part harmony, isn't it? Or how does it work again? Sorry.
Are you thinking of Sail Away Ladies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a traditional piece, and we take turns on the verses, and there's 3-part harmony on the choruses. Yeah.
Okay. Now, traditional means like where is it originally sung?
Trad wrote it.
Trad
or Anon.
Anon.
Yeah.
Where was Trad from? Or
I think he might have been from the Blue Hills of Kentucky.
a Kentucky song?
Well, I've heard a lot of kind of bluegrassy versions of this song. The first time I heard it, though, was by a group that did it very similar to what we're doing. We kind of learned their version. Because there's kind of sea shanty versions of it, and then there's bluegrassy kind of versions of it.
So this is what kind of version is this?
Well, it's probably more of like a choral art song version.
Right. Well, you've performed at like Irish Fest almost every year now, or not
with Bantry Bay.
with Bantry Bay,
traditional Irish
which
band.
is traditional Irish music.
Sing with, yeah.
Yeah, and that's really cool. Like,
Yeah.
Is there any talk of recording with them at all, or is it like kind of just a live only thing?
Well,
Or should we not talk about
I sort
that?
of started on my solo CD.
Oh, you did? You heard it here first.
Well, the leader of Bantry Bay decided to move to Iowa last year, and before he left, I wanted to record some of the songs that I sing with them because I really enjoy the songs I sing with. I enjoy singing with these wonderful backing musicians because I can adequately accompany myself, but I'm not a virtuoso instrumentalist.
Okay.
So it's fun to sing with a good fiddle player and a bouzouki player, and so we did record a couple of the songs that I sing with them.
Oh man! So when
yeah.
is this gonna come about?
Not for a long time.
You gotta round it out a little bit. How many songs do you have recorded so far in the can?
There's maybe 3
or 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so you start rounding it out a little bit more. I mean, because you have any number of traditional songs that you can draw from, but
they really need to be worked up again and be polished.
Okay.
Because I'm not at performance level right now.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. You were doing 5 Denials on Merlin's Grave earlier, which is a really good poem, and you performed it really well.
Thank you.
So
I really feel it. So I like to only perform things I can really feel.
Well, and the song that you sang before that,
that was a traditional Irish song.
What was the name of it?
Green Fields of America.
Green Fields of America. Yeah, you sing beautifully. It's just, I don't know what you're talking about with your warming up and stuff.
It's not perfect.
All right. All right. You know you better than I do, so
I'm really, really proud of this first Sweet Diversity CD because we sounded so tight, you know. And even though we were kind of fresh and green and young then, we were really singing together well.
Okay. Yeah, no, the stuff that I've heard off of it so far, I was amazed by. I heard the Sail Away Ladies track, which we're going to play in a minute. That was really great. And that whole thing was recorded here at the Miramar, right?
It was, yeah.
Was it on stage here or up in the...
down in the middle of the floor there.
Really? Was this back when the stage was off to the different side of the room even?
Yeah, it was actually. Let's see, where was it? I think it might have been up in
on the north
corner
wall?
here.
Oh, on the corner?
Yeah, it was before it was over there.
Because if you walk into the theater now, the stage is on the east wall. And for a while, I came in here once a long time ago, it seemed like, and it was on the north wall. And then I guess some people told me that it has been in the corner.
Yeah, when I first started, it was in the...
It moves.
The northeast corner. I helped move all the seats and everything.
Oh, man.
I've done everything here. Painting, fixing seats, cleaning the toilets.
Oh. Well, I haven't cleaned a toilet. I've unclogged them as a bartender. We're called to do weird things once in a while. Yeah. Terrible metal shows is what it is, I tell you. Kids at those metal shows don't know what they're doing. But yeah, so we got a little bit of time left. I wanted to talk a little bit more about Sweet Diversity stuff. And how many did you guys play out a lot after you put the CD out, or is it kind of a one?
Well, if we would always do a couple of shows a year, you know, we would, because they were, you know, concerts,
right.
So it wasn't like playing at the corner Starbucks. We would look for concert opportunities.
Okay.
And we did get to do a couple of other cool things, like we sang at Lanterns for Peace one year,
That's awesome.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And Peace Action had a conference one year that they invited us to sing at, because we did a lot of, you know, peace and social justice kind of oriented songs.
Okay. Well,
and we sang at several rallies. I used to sing at a lot of rallies, although I haven't done that in a while.
Oh, okay. Well, you can always do it again.
Yes, I can. And I probably will.
You've sang it at plenty of rallies. And you're one of the more politically active people I know, just in general, and more politically aware. You definitely have your own personal point of view, which, if you can imagine what a person who writes and performs folk music would probably think about certain things. We won't get into it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
But I'm a Gemini, so I can see all sides of view, usually.
That's a blessing and a curse, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Because you can understand why you disagree with people, or people who have a divergent opinion, but then you can never convert them. At least that's been my experience. I have a hard time convincing people politically. So we're going to break and play Sail Away Ladies, and then come right back. And we're back.
Ain't no use to sit and cry. Sail away, ladies, sail away. You'll be an angel by and by. Sail away, ladies, sail away. Don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o. Don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o.
I got a home in Tennessee.
Sail away, ladies, sail away.
That's the place I wanna be.
Sail away, ladies, sail away. Don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o. Don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o. Ever I get my new house done, sail away, ladies, sail away. Give the old one to my son, sail away, ladies, sail away. Don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o. Don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o. Come along, ladies, go with me. Sail away, ladies, sail away. we'll go down to Tennessee. Sail away, ladies, sail away. Don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o.
Hush, little baby, don't you cry. Sail away, ladies, sail away. You'll be an angel by and by.
Sail away, ladies, sail away. Don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o.
Ain't no use to sit and cry.
Sail away, ladies, sail away.
You'll be an angel by and by.
Sail away, ladies, sail away. Don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o, don't you rock 'em day-o.
Quick reminder before we return to the program that the finals for the Coffee House Talent Contest coming up on February 9th, which is a Saturday, and that every Tuesday at the Miramar you can go to the open mic and see Sandy Weistow and get a recording of your performance done there. So come on, step out when you get a chance.
But I'm a Gemini.
And we're trying to find the spot that we were there on.
You can understand why you disagree.
This white noise background is brought to you by River West Radio, with occasional fade-ins to the conversation that was
we're
already
gonna
recorded.
Break and play. Come right back. And we're back. And I just want to say thanks again, Sandy, for coming and just like hanging out and doing this at the end of the open mic on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was spontaneous and fun.
And it didn't take as long as you thought. Didn't the time fly?
It did.
Everyone
fly.
always says the time flies. So hopefully we've got enough material here. Otherwise, I'll just play the intro song over and over and over again until we're done. I've been keeping an eye on a clock, but I don't know if it's the right
Yeah.
clock. So,
Well,
but-
it's very cool that you print Burdock and that you're doing
Aw.
the Burdock Radio show.
oh, thanks. Yeah, it's and it was really great to have you on the 10th issue. So thanks for doing that, by the way, and
Mhm.
thanks for coming out, and thanks for being a cool boss.
You're
So
welcome.
that was the Queen of Milwaukee folk. I'm Keith Gosted. Thanks a lot. See you later.